Hi guys, up here in Sydney, having a break, waiting for our trailers. Alright, I picked up the Owner Driver magazine. You could probably look at this online, but I happened to pick it up at the BP in Albury. I was going through there. These are free to pick up. Also Big Rigs newspaper, you can do that one too. Pick these up for free, so if you, I know they've got them at BP's, but I don't know, I have seen them around other places. So the Caltex in Holbrook has them as well. So I haven't looked at this one. It gives you information and a few stories to read, pass the time away if you get bored. So we'll see what's in this. I haven't looked at this, so we'll go through it, see what's in it. Let's see. Vans, got parts, truck parts. Load restraints aren't too bad, $13. Airlines. Probably need those for the truck. Mine are a bit stretched and wonky. A lot of advertisement, of course. He knows. Story about the Newell Highway. It's just talking about upgrades. Perhaps they should do upgrades on the Newell. It's probably a long time coming. And get a bit rough in parts. Advertising for Unidens. I just had a glance at these dash cams. They're 4K now, so they're pretty good resolution there. So it might be worth a look at. Bushfire assistance. A lot more advertising. Actually advertising the Logan motorway in Queensland. 15 kilometres of new lanes added. Of course there's probably I think there is a toll on that road too, so they're trying to push you to go on it, I guess. Anyway, that's brand names, I guess. It's like a burnout truck. Maybe the Summer Nats at Canberra. More parts. More story on the burnout truck. So it's a drag truck. Got in the Guinness Book of Records. Conventional powered truck from a standing start, 19.76 seconds to cover 1 kilometre, an average of 182.14 kilometres an hour. A calculator's top speed of 305.5. That's a fast truck. Don't think I'd be driving at that speed though, but I don't know if anyone's ever seen. I actually seen the Louisville they brought out. I actually seen that in action. Called a park one day. That's the jet truck, Waltzing Matilda. They brought out, had the jet engine on the back. That could take off pretty quick, build up some pace, and yeah, quite impressive. Don't know where it is now. Probably sitting in a shed somewhere in a paddock, resting away. Managing fatigue. What I think we should have the like minimum hours. I think everyone should probably go to 14-hour work time. Minimum hours, yeah, definitely should be 14. Should scrap to 12. Just make everyone the same. But I guess they want you to do courses, and I guess companies, I don't know if it probably does, maybe someone could tell me, does a company have to pay money to have basic fatigue? Probably do. I have it. I can do 14 hours, but the company's got to be accredited as well, so, but they're not, so I can't use it. I think it should be the driver that should be accredited, but I don't know how. Just watching a few videos, or it might have been just online now, answer some questions online, and you go for 12 hours to 14 all of a sudden. Doesn't make sense, but what I think should have the regulations, like have your 14 hours in every 24, but how you have your rest break should be up to the individual. Everybody's different. I could do it totally different. I would I could probably come up here, sleep 6 hours, go again, but when I get tired later, have another couple of hours, and that's just the way I'd prefer to have it. But staying up here, for 11.5 hours doesn't mean I'm not going to be tired later. I want that flexible time so I can grab a couple of hours later on when I get tired. I mean, the way I am now, it's just the way the freight runs, but I can't leave any earlier. I used to in the past. I used to call up and they'd ask whether I could leave, but a lot of times I couldn't. So in that situation, I probably could have left. I probably had about 7 hours sleep, 8 hours sleep, or rest time. I wasn't sleeping that long, and then I could have a couple of hours sleep later on when I get tired. So that's how I would prefer it. Sorry if I just put my hand in front of them. I'm trying to squash I got a little insect in the truck. Yeah, that's the way I prefer it, but that's just me. Things might change one day. Story about trucks wrecking the road. And stories when people write in. Truck driver education. Now that is a big one. Should be more training for truck drivers, and I agree with that. Maybe go towards an American system where drivers go out, but you probably find a lot of companies will not pay one driver to just sit there, and I guess there's not enough money in it. Maybe they need government needs an incentive to maybe put a little bit of money into for companies that want to train drivers. Maybe have to go through a course, driver trainers. But that would be a good idea, because so many people want to get into truck driving and they can't get the experience, and I reckon that's just wrong. Just got to get the experience driving up and down the highway, but if you can drive local, you should be able to drive up and down the highway. It's just just managing the fatigue, I think, is probably the biggest thing if you're not used to it. An issue. big brakes for heavy vehicle drivers as New South Wales introduced rest area trials. I don't know what they're actually doing. Imposing time limits on light vehicles. A couple of rest stops there. Oh yes, as I can see, there's a lot of campers and things in there. Okay, understand that. So nowhere for trucks to park. It's on the Pacific Highway. Yeah, it looks like all the parking is taken up by campers. Maybe they need designated areas for them to park. And now they have a centrefold as well. Story about the centre barriers that they're putting up. Good or bad, who knows. They don't really, I wouldn't think that it's just stop trucks, probably just cars. Probably a wake-up call, but in the centre it's probably okay, but it's the ones on the side of the road where you can't get off the road if you actually break down. They're an issue. More truck parts, aftermarket parts, more things on barriers. Story on diabetes. Views on music and truck wreckers. And this is where it starts to get into the advertisements. Tyres, truck parts, quite a few there. Got to be able to turn the page here, I'm a bit stuck. There we go. Trucks for sale. The Castlemaine truck show. Have never been to that either. So it's in November. One day I'll get to it. This is obviously the last one they had. More stories on that. Review on the Scania. It's the rigid. Story on UDs, one of those things. But more on the UD factory in Thailand. Thailand registered Linfox UD. And that's about it. Thing on pay rates. If you got paid for every hour that you worked, it'd be good, wouldn't it? So that's the Owner Driver magazine. I usually grab one, have a quick look through it, see what interests me, and sometimes I go through regulations, up and coming regulations. So now I actually had just continue on with this, and I actually had a question from Ben who asked about electronic logbooks, what I thought of them. Now for my job, they'd be okay. I could do my job quite easy, electronic logbooks. But when you're unloading and loading, or you're going certain distances, longer distances, now they could be a problem. And the problem might arise is when you get, if there's an accident on a freeway or on a road somewhere, you have to do a detour. Or there's a traffic build-up which could take an extra hour because of traffic, and you can't get off the road. You could be on a freeway. Now you're still moving, so you can't put down a rest brake. You're still driving the truck. So is there going to be a provision in there to put that down, and they can cross-reference if they come across it? Maybe put the date and the time in it, and they can cross-reference to see whether there was a delay on the road at that time and it's taking you a bit longer. Maybe someone in the US can tell us for their system. Is there anything in there for that? Is there going to be for personal time? If your owner driver takes a truck home after you've unloaded, is there going to be something in there for that? Or if you just want to go down and buy something at the shop. I think the US has that already. Providing you've got no trailers on, I guess. So it's really got to be, I think they're going to come in, but they really have to have things for delays, I think. Now it's alright to say you should plan your trip, which is fine, but sometimes if there's an accident, you get caught in traffic, or there's a major delay, you can't always plan for that. Well, you can't plan for that most times, so even detours take a little bit extra time. Now you could have planned it well and have 45 minutes spare, think, oh, I'm going to have 45 minutes, going to get there easy, but 45 minutes disappears real quick when you're in the traffic. So that's going to be a bit of an issue. I could have them work. Companies have got to change. Where you pick it up from, where you're delivering, they have to change as well. So if you're sitting in waiting for trailers, things like that, I think a lot of companies have to have areas where you can go get away from the truck and go have tea or coffee, maybe even have showers or something. They won't do it, but it'd be nice if they did. But I think the system has to change. Everyone has to get on board. Since this chain of responsibilities come in, I've only heard they just made one prosecution, or they're taking them to court for a director of a company that's pushing their drivers, and that's the first one to come up. But yeah, I think chain of responsibilities probably goes out the window too. So So that's my thoughts on logbooks, Electonic. It's funny though, the all these things come into place and drivers seem to think of a way to get around it, but I don't think that's going to happen anymore. Can't do that. The fines are too high now. The risks are too high as well. So try and do the right thing. If you can't do the right thing, well, and you get complaints from your company, it might be time to move on. Go find another company to work for. If they start to get a bit pushy, at the end of the day, they're not going to pay your fines, and they're not going to take responsibility if something goes wrong. It's going to be all on you. So maybe the electronic logbooks will be good, because maybe that will come back on the company as well. But time will tell. I think they need to do quite a bit of trials first before it actually works. You'll probably waste a lot of time if they do come in, because you'll be stopping, especially over long distance, you might be stopping earlier just to find a good service centre rather than just be stuck out in the middle of nowhere. So that may be that might be a problem. So you may lose time, it might take you longer, or it might push you into traffic, because you have to be further out and it takes you longer to get there when you restart. I'd have to look at the American system and see how that works. Maybe someone could tell us how theirs work, and is it working? I think they run a bit different to Australia though. Maybe they're not as harsh on when you're a little bit late. Alright, we'll leave this video here. Don't think there was any other questions we need to get into at the moment, so if there is any more, I'm getting a lot of things on my phone at the moment. Just news. Yeah, just news stories, breaking news. It's like a mass shooting in Germany. It's the way of the world now, isn't it? Too many crazy people out there. Yeah, so we'll leave the video here, and I'll make some more very soon. If there's any questions, you think you need to know, I'll be it's actually Thursday. I'll be back Friday and going out again on Sunday, which will go a little bit early. I'll try and do that how to back a B double. See if I can find a spot. I'll think about that on the way, and see if I can find a spot where it's out of the way, and see if I can leave a little bit earlier, see what I can do there. See how busy I get on the weekend, and that'll be interesting, be learning for all of us, including myself. I don't do a lot of backing anymore, so could be interesting, but we'll see how we go with that. Alright guys, till next time, stay safe.